Hello there, Optimus Prime here. Welcome back to our journey through 2007 as part of our 84 to 24 40 years of rolling out program. I'm joined, as always, by my incredible co-host, PrimeTime Moff. Hi,
Hey,
Moff.
hiya.
And yes, so if you were listening or watching yesterday, you'll know that we started our journey into 2007, which is bonkers considering how long we've been doing this, and it feels like actually no, it probably does feel like 2007 years. Um, so last episode we talked about all of the different things that went on in this year, and now we're going to get to the toys. Now there are a lot to go through. And when I say a lot, I really do mean a lot. But we're going to try and go through them as quickly as possible. We won't have pictures of everything in both modes. We'll just have pictures in something, mostly alt modes, but with a few highlights along the way. And if you're watching, yay, you get to see pictures. And if you're listening, you'll get to hear in-depth descriptions of some of the toys. Um, but there is a lot to go through. As we said last episode, there are 19 different lines, I think. Near enough 19. 19 sticks in my head anyway. So, uh, da, 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 da. I'm just going to kick straight off
There's
because
11, just quickly, there's
what?
11 just for the movie alone.
Yeah,
11 releases, 11 different kind of sublines just for the movie alone.
yeah,
Let that sink in. When you think back to kind of end of G1, where we had like 11, 12 toys,
yeah,
there's 11 sublines for the movie.
yeah,
And they're all
absolutely.
amazing. Every single toy released is perfect.
Oh yeah, no, that's the best. Okay, so let's quickly go through all of the different lines that are non-movie related before going a little bit more in depth into some of the movie related lines because it is important and it is something we need to get through. So we had the last dregs of the alternators, which includes the fantastic San Diego Comic Con Optimus Prime, a
Mm.
Rumble, who was an exclusive to Walmart, and Ravage, who was also a Walmart exclusive. Now, very quick thing on this, and I mean very quick. Rumble and Ravage were really difficult to get hold of in America, and over here, Ravage was at Argos, so you could get him really, really easily. And I just remember getting him, and he is just such an incredible figure. It's so amazing to have a really nice looking vehicle that turns into quite a
He
passable
said,
looking Jaguar.
I was going
And
to say he's a
also,
Jaguar, isn't he?
yeah, exactly. A
Yeah.
Jaguar that turns into a Jaguar. And it doesn't look massively dissimilar from his G1 version.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, great figure. I loved it. And I sold it, which was dumb of me. I should have kept it.
I
Anyway,
really
moving
want
on.
the Rodimus. I really want the
Oh,
Rodimus. Always have.
Rodimus does look amazing. Did he ever get a regular release or was it only SDCC? Oh
As
no, he
far as I was going to say, it was only SDDCC. Do you think it was
yeah, it was. Apart from that thing we don't speak about,
him? Kiss players.
he was a Kiss player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Shh.
carried on. So classics continued. I always thought there were more classics at this point, but there weren't. There was
No.
only very, very small number. And in fact, this year's worth of figures were almost exclusively replates or remolds. So you
Mm.
had Ultra Magnus and Skywalker in a two-pack, great set, which became gold dust and rare and really expensive next year
After
for
they were
reasons.
clearanced as ridiculously as
Oh
cheap
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
possible.
I th
Madness.
I think I picked it up in Woolworths for like 20 quid.
Yeah.
The gift set of Devastator in G1 colors, the Energon Devastator, which is still awful. I mean, it's yeah. Anyway, and Cliffjumper, Grimlock, Mirage, and Ramjet. Cliffjumper and Ramjet were remolds or repaints, and Grimlock is awful. I hate that figure.
That is awful.
And Mirage, again, like Astro Train, never saw it in the shops.
No, no,
Not for
never.
for ages. Um, but anyway, that is your chug for this year. It's still the very beginnings of chug as we know it now. Um, but yes. And they had some Legends class and they had some Minicon teams as well. I'm not going to bother going into those, but there was a Jetfire, and I'm sure Moff is thinking I need to get hold of that.
A little bit, a little
Oh,
bit.
all of these were repaints or
Yeah.
reissues of previously existing figures. The Minicon teams were from a gift set, I think. Um, and yeah, crossovers. There were more Transformers crossovers. The only thing
I just
really
got
of
excited
note,
because I just saw something I didn't know existed, Simon.
what was that?
They did an AT-AT, and I love an AT-AT.
Ah, yeah, no, they did do an AT-AT. Well, you'll have to get yourself one, won't you?
I think I might, by the way. I think I might. I've got the Death Star because I wanted the Death Star.
So this year for the Transformers crossover, being that it's the year of Transformers, they did the Millennium Falcon and the Death Star, both of which were ginormous sets,
Mm.
absolutely ridiculous. Um, and the Death Star, I mean, it doesn't, but it can set quite interestingly with Unicron and
hmm Primus.
Primus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
kind of same size as Primus, I think. Not too bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not too bad. I didn't have any of these, so I'm gonna. Well, I had Slave One, but as Boba Fett, not as Jango Fett.
My Millennium Falcon is a combiner as well.
Yes, yes, it's two horrible looking robots that
Yeah, it
combine
really is.
into a passable version of the Millennium Falcon with more gigantic missile launchers than you can shake a stick at. Anyway, moving on. Now, this is something I do want to delve into a little bit more.
Yes.
And there's two things I want to talk about here very quickly. Firstly, this is the second mold that came out in the US and was available over here. And it's weird because I remember buying Masterpiece figures at this point, and I wasn't buying Japanese ones. I was
Mm.
buying American and whatever ones. Actually, might be a slight lie because I did have Starscream in blue, not
No,
the Walmart one.
I only had the Walmart.
Um, but yeah, so the Walmart exclusive version of Starscream, who was released the previous year or maybe even the year before that in Japan, has this weird bluey grey color. I never quite understood that. They went
Well,
for, oh,
it was to be more realistic to an actual jet rather than
yes,
being realistic to Starscream. But
yes, but jets aren't that color either.
Transformers, no,
So
no.
I don't quite know what that's about. Anyway, so that was that. But the Walmart version was G1 Starscream Deco and looked fantastic. In Japan, you got Skywarp, which is obviously a repaint of Starscream, obviously. And then you had Megatron, which is a weird figure. It's
It's,
a
oh,
gun mode, but it doesn't have all of his attachments.
yep.
And it's also oversized. So it's like 1.5 times as big, or maybe a bit
As a
bigger than
gun,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And I've never transformed it. I bought it. I got it with wedding money. After we married, we got gift money. I bought it to go on my Optimus, and before I even got it, I knew I wasn't going to transform it because all I'd heard was people just saying how bad it was. And I was like, I don't want that experience. And I remember starting looking at it, going, do I want to do this? And I just went, nope. And I've never transformed it. And it's the only transformer I will likely never transform just because A, it's now so old that I would worry that it would break to pieces. And I still have it. I have it. You'll not like this, Simon. But when I replaced my MP Optimus Prime's head with a third party one,
Mm.
I took the original one, put some electrical wires in it, and my Megatron holds his severed head because one of my best friends drew me a picture when we were at school of
Mm.
Megatron with a severed Optimus Prime head and an Optimus Prime with a severed Megatron head, just because. So I recreated that as soon as I could. But yeah,
Nice. Um, yeah, it's an interesting toy. It's sort of it doesn't do anything like the masterpiece figures do now.
no,
It didn't look like the toy. It didn't look like the animated version. It was its own thing, but it didn't look particularly good.
yeah.
And it was really fragile, and it also suffered from cosmic rust. His feet
Oh
went
yes,
brown.
Cosmic Rush. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Forgot about that. Means
Um,
I've got has got it, but just totally forgot about
Even though this is a Japanese line, I am going to be including this from now on because it's too important to ignore.
Oh
There's
yes.
and it has so many influences. So every episode from now on will include whatever came out in Masterpiece in
Yeah. I think
Japan.
we've talked about Japanese stuff at points where it's been stuff that really meant something to us, or where it's something we need to talk about in regards to
Hmm.
being important. And I do think it would be remiss of us not to talk about Masterpiece because Masterpiece is such a big bit of collecting now that vast majority of Masterpiece is Japanese only. It
Hmm.
would be absolutely wrong of us not to talk about it. So yeah, I do think that's a good addition to our
Yeah.
73-hour long episodes.
Right, moving on. Robot Heroes. Ooh, how exciting. Robot Heroes. Do you remember Robot
Oh man.
Heroes?
Yeah, I've got this is the one I remember couldn't decide if I what Unix run it was I had, and it's one of these ones. It
Ah,
was just a
yes.
list one. But I don't have that Soundwave. Another Soundwave toy for me to get. Oh man.
Oh, you don't have that?
No.
I've got that at work.
Oh,
I'll,
that's made
I'll,
me jealous,
I'll,
but I
I'll,
don't know.
I'll, I'll nab it for you. You can have it.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks. Oh, what you know?
oh.
The Soundwave.
I've just realised that I've actually forgotten to have
What?
add another slide. I think there's a
Look at the
sec.
wee Ravage.
Oh yeah, the Ravage is amazing.
That's so cute.
You came with a little
That's a
Optimus
quite a
Prime.
funky line. I don't remember ever
Yeah.
seeing these
And there's
when they were
Optimus
out.
Prime with the Matrix. Yeah, they're just little plastic, rubbery plastic figures. They also sold me, I think, blind bagged.
Yeah. Well, see, I've
Uh,
got the Unicron because I was like, oh, Unicron toy, I'm going to have that at TFN, or no, it would have been auto assembly. But I've not seen the rest, not seen the multi serum to know they're kind of grim. That's quite cool as well. Yeah, they're kind of fun. I
yeah.
just like wee novelty things. So
Oh
yeah,
no,
I can see why they're
they are.
crap, but I can see why they're good.
Yeah, I quite like them. I like the yeah, the Grimlock looks posed like off the front of one of the comics.
I was
Uh,
thinking, do you know what he looks like?
yeah,
And I could be wrong. I could be totally misremember this. The Grim Grams
yeah,
pose.
yeah.
I'm going to quickly use my sync screen to check
It
because that's what he looks like.
it does look like how he
And if
did
it is,
on
that
the
kind of
top
feels
of
like I want
Grimgrams.
one.
Well, yeah,
No, because he doesn't have his sword up, but he's kind of knee down. If
it's
other than the
similar.
sword, it's kind of similar. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Anyway,
I'm going to say that's what he's posed based on. Just everybody just agree with me now.
yeah, so they sold us two packs. There was a whole bunch of them. They also did blind bag versions, and there was a gift set that had five repaints.
Mhm.
And that was very exciting. There is also an entire line of these for the movie, and I believe I have forgotten to do a slide on them.
That's not a
So
bad thing.
that's fine. Just imagine
Mhm.
that there were a load of two packs based on movie characters. And then we have other fun things. So
Optimus.
this is just us.
Optimash Prime. Mac Prime.
Optimash Prime, the Mr. Potato Head, the plush Transformers, Slumblebee, and Softimus Prime.
I've got a Slumblebee. I bought a Slumblebee for Jamie when he was born. And I've heard Softimus Prime is your nickname in the bedroom.
Ah, I was waiting for the
That
inevitable
was it.
joke.
Funny the first time I said it. Funny to say.
Was it though? Um,
The Slumblebee, I remember just being like I literally at the. In fact, I got it at the auto assembly, my very first auto assembly. I bought it there when Kerry was pregnant with Jamie, and went, I'm going to give this to Jamie when he's. Or, well, I don't know, he was a girl boy at the time. I'm going to give this when he's born. So it was his first Transformer, although it's not in his room anymore. It's in my room because it deserves to be in my collection, not his.
it's
I'm
worth
a bit more sentimental about it.
it's worth noting if you don't realize these actually transform as well. Not well, but
No,
they sort of fold into themselves and look vaguely like a soft version
kind
of
of
a.
fun. They're kind of fun.
Yeah, they're fun. Optimus Prime is somewhere behind me, but I can't bother to find him. Yet more of the Titanium Cybertron heroes. And these were all themed slightly on
Fine.
other bits. So RID
Oh,
Optimus.
oh, you showing me that makes I definitely have that as in my list now.
Mm.
Oh, it was frightening. the War Within Megatron. I kind of want the War Within Megatron, and I also want the War Within Optimus because, well, I don't. I can't justify that for any other reason.
Fun fact,
Mm.
first figure of the Fallen.
Ooh, there you go.
Um, yeah, and
Nice.
Venusaur was a repaint of Rodimus.
Ah, right,
Um,
right, right, right.
so that was that. An Ultra Magnus War with it. And it was a bit repaint heavy. Again, repaint heavy.
Yeah.
And they also did a two pack of War Within Prime and War Within Megatron. And they did yet another version of Beast Machine's Cheetor, which I forgot existed. The least popular version of a character
Yeah.
got the most versions of that character in the
Mhm.
toy. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we have now reached. Should have put a slide up
Oh,
to have a difference between these, but I forgot. We've now
can we
reached
pause
the
before going to
toy
the
line.
full detail of the movie's
Yeah.
toys then, right? So I kind of I want to propose something to you about this time period, right? So prior to this, and I could be wrong, prior to this, um, there wasn't. Oh, no, I'm not wrong. There wasn't the onslaught of they were trying to hit you with everything with the
No.
movie. It was like hit every option a budget. If you wanted an Optimus Prime, I can only imagine what somebody like you who collects Optimus Prime would have been like, oh my goodness, what an try like. But it was very much like there was something for everybody's budget. There was they were trying to tackle everybody's type of thing, what they kind of want. Talk now that there are people who collect legends. I've got a wee legends collection going on behind me. Um, I don't class myself as anything. I class myself just a collector of cool toys, as you can tell by the obsessive compulsive behavior I have with toys. But very much now you've got people who would go like, I'm a third party collector, or I'm a legends collector, or I'm a masterpiece collector, or I'm a chug collector. You know, this is the point where they were like, right, if you've enjoyed this movie, whatever you collect, you'll be able to get. And it just is frightening the how much that kind of leans in. And I know it's not quite as bad actually now when you think about it. It's not as if you're getting the same quantity of movie figures for Transformers One. If anything, actually, for Transformers One movie coming out, there's not actually that much on the shelves compared to at this point. I remember it just being everywhere the amount of toys you could
Oh, it
get,
was
and as I say,
bonkers.
in all the different styles. And I know we're going to go through them. What did I say? There was 11 different ones. So I just thought it's kind of. I want to know your thoughts on at that point when the movie came out. I know I didn't buy the toys until I saw the movie because I was a bit
Hmm.
like, oh, actually, I kind of wanted to do the movie and then go buy the toys because I thought that'd be great fun, and it was. That's exactly what I did. I just wanted to kind of know where was your mind at for collecting? What was your reaction to the volume of toys getting released? And I think that's about.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't buy everything, not by a long shot, and I only bought the stuff that was more aimed at me. Um, and I didn't. I think I wanted to get. I decided fairly early on that I only wanted to get characters who were in the film, so I completely
Yeah.
ruled out anything that wasn't within the film, and I also didn't want to have, at this point, multiples of any character. With Hey, this
Sorry.
is this is this is before all this by a
What,
long shot.
what's this? Hold on, hold on. So this was Oddimus Pax before he became Oddimus Prime.
Sure, yes, yep, that'll do.
Fine, fine.
Um, yeah, 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 that'll do. So I remember getting the preview figures. They did two preview figures
Yes.
that were
Oh
the
yeah.
Meteor versions of Prime and Starscream, and those
Yes, I
were
forgot those. Oh man, I remember that was
um,
a great feeling.
yeah. So I got those, and then it was a bit of a tough decision on some of them because we'll get onto it in a minute, but some of them were quite gimmicky, and I wasn't a big
Yeah.
fan of the having a movie aesthetic, but then having sort of big rocket launching gimmicks, which just didn't really. gel with me.
Yeah.
And at this point, there was no option for a. These ones are just like how they look in the film with no extra cheesy stuff stuck on them. Everything is gimmicky. Every line had bits of stuff thrown into it. Um, but yeah, there's just. But one thing that really sticks with me is I can't think of really um, two toy lines or tie-ins that had such a big presence in Toys R Us than Transformers and Star Wars. Whenever a
Oh.
new film came out, that big section at the front of the store
Yes. Yeah.
would
Yeah.
always be bedecked
Yeah.
with all the massive moving poster things, and all of the different toy lines would all be there. The whole wall would just be
Man.
filled chock full
Oh.
of all the stuff.
I actually just makes me go, I miss Toys R Us more because the toy like Smash has got a wee teeny section for Transformers,
Yeah,
like for Transformers, not only Transformers One.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was that. You're right. I can't think of anything else that had that Star Wars for Transformers definitely did that.
But I mean, thinking on it, it was like they'd have the big section at the front of the store, and that's be where you'd have everything would just be shoved there right in your face, and then they'd have the normal section, sort of halfway down the store, that would still be like chock full of stuff.
Yeah,
And we were only ever limited by what was geographically available, or
yeah,
because some stuff's American exclusives and whatnot. But Toys R Us always used to have the vast majority of stuff for the first wave. It would then
definitely.
go rapidly tits up, but uh,
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
wave was always front and center, and they'd always have like all of the stuff. Anyway, should we get on with it?
yeah. Thank
Otherwise,
you
we're
for
going to be
indulging
here
me
all
on
day.
that.
No, 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 no. You're more than welcome to be indulged. Right, so Legends class. They had 8 Legends class figures in the first wave. All of the main characters in very basic, uh, Legends class figures, sort of Matchbox car sized sort of things. Some of them were great, some of them were pants. Most of them were pants. They were all pants. Um, and then you had the robot modes were awful on all of them. And
Never
even the
appealed to me.
vehicle modes were just shoddy. I mean, I had Prime, I had a Bumblebee, I had Megatron. I think they were like on the end cap at Sainsbury's, and it'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I fancy a toy. Um, but I didn't get most of them because I wasn't collecting that scale because I wasn't, so I didn't. And then you had the Allspark Battles, which was basically repaints and molds that they hadn't brought out in single packs yet, and bizarrely, Jazz twice. Um, don't quite know why they had Jazz twice. I mean, surely it would have made more sense to have Prime versus Bone Crusher
Hmm.
than
Or even
Jazz
Prime
versus
versus
Bone
Ice
Crusher.
Megatron. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, at least with Jazz versus Megatron, you can rip your Jazz in half.
yeah, saw it. Cut in half.
Um, and then you had your obligatory "Let's paint Bumblebee red and call him Cliffjumper."
I noticed that.
And the first, or another G1 esque nod in the Rescue Ratchet color scheme. Right, let's move on. Uh, Real Gear robots and Transformers electronic combat hardware. Do you remember these?
I don't remember the tech ones. The
No.
Real Gear robots, I have a real soft spot for because they feel very much like Soundwave's my favorite, like because Soundwave genuinely looked like in the nicest way. A Lamborghini Countach is a cool ass alt mode. It doesn't
Hmm,
look like it's not as if that was a real full size one,
no.
whereas Soundwave looked like a real tape player. So I had Night Beat and essentially it's Laser Beacon another
Yeah.
one. The game controller. I had a couple, but I didn't have them all. Speed Tail, that's quite cool. But these appeal to me because of that aspect of it. The booster is just laser beat. It really is just laser
Yeah,
beat.
yeah.
And then they kind of blue repainted just because they were like wee mini, maybe like MP3 players. The wee
Hmm.
camera's quite cool actually. Fair. I don't think I ever saw that. The tech ones, I don't think I've ever seen them before. They're
I
kind of
think
really
I've seen
funky.
them since. I believe they don't have robot modes. They have like weapon modes.
Ah, right.
Judging by the
Okay.
names and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fact I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
really know about them.
Really good
But yeah,
bullets.
I Yeah, I'm not entirely sure they came out of here, to be honest. Digital Dagger, I've definitely seen because he sort of turns into a stabby weapon. Um, but yeah, they were just a tie-in thing that had. I mean, I suppose it kind of connects to that bit in the film where they bring a Nokia phone to life.
So,
Uh,
wait, I don't know where I heard this. I heard something recently about this, right? About why they all turn evil, like because all the kind of
oh,
bits they
okay.
turn. Now let's see if I get this right. So earlier in the film, they talk about the fact that Megatron, the technology of Megatron was used as the basis for all technology going forward. So
Hmm.
essentially, every bit of technology going forward is imbued with what essentially is the most evilest transform there is. As soon as the Allspark gives it life, it's like a mini version of Megatron. I thought, actually, that's genius because even in the kind of next film where we kind of see it with Sam and the Toaster stuff, they all become
Yeah.
Decepticons. And it was all, I remember even thinking, going, why is this all Decepticons? It's that bit of actually, that makes real good sense. Like,
Hmm.
it explains a plot hole. Like, there's no part of me think going Michael Bay's think saying, boys, this is what we're doing here. We're subtly telling this story. There's he doesn't do subtle. But
No.
I love little retcons like that that kind of make you
Yeah.
go, that is highly plausible and a very good explanation.
Looking at these pictures, I really want Meantime. I just like
The watch,
the
yeah.
watch. Yeah, he just looks cool. I bet it wouldn't fit around my wrist, but
No.
yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Uh, this is a themed slide. Slammers, stomping, and blasting. So you had the Cyber Slammers, which were little pullback and go cars that sort of popped up, and when they bashed into each other, and they literally like
That's
the
cool.
top pops up, and there's a really rubbish robot. Um, they're pants, but they're aimed at small children who can bash them together and not have
Yeah.
any complicated form of transformation. And they probably did all right. Cyber stomping robots were large robots that had light up features and made noises, but they didn't really do a lot other than that. They were kind of a weird stylized version of the Bayverse sort of aesthetic. I quite liked the big feet on Optimus, and that
Mm.
Optimus he actually came out the same sort of mold, but a cheaper version of it as Bubble Bath in Boots that Christmas. And I got
Oh,
one,
brilliant.
and I still have it. And then the converting arm blasters. They're arm blasters that convert. You put your arm in, it turns into a gun, it fires Nerf missiles. That's it. I
I
need that
want one of
Optimus,
them.
actually. Yeah, I need the Optimus.
Just the
Um,
simpleness of it.
I didn't have pictures of them, but there was also electronic helmet of Prime.
I've got that.
Maybe Bumblebee. Yeah, I've got one of those somewhere.
I
The
say I've got it.
classic.
It's in my it's in the boys' room. The boys like it for the get that and a Bumblebee, but it's not that,
Mm.
but a Bumblebee movie one. It's some real tech type thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But just to just like well, that design Optimus Prime. And again, that goes back to the it's however many years, 17 years since it came out. My kids actually really enjoy that design of Optimus Prime.
yeah,
Like there's something
yeah,
about it.
yeah. No, again, this is we've got to remember this is a lot of people's first experience with Transformers, and these will be their G1. We say this every so often when we get to a new like era, but yeah, this is G1 for a lot of people now. I mean, these films are, yeah, as you say, 17 years old, this one. Um, and people who are in their mid to late 20s or even early 30s, this might have been the first Transformers thing they ever got into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, moving on, fast action battlers. They were other simple to transform, sort of gimmicky. Yeah, they did stuff. They rolled, I think. I can't,
I have
I
never
can't.
seen that frenzy one. That's cool.
Um,
It's like a wee tape, a wee sound wave. Oh
Yeah,
man,
Frenzy was cool because
and I
he
want that.
was that was the I think the first figure of Frenzy. I don't think another one came out immediately, apart from the one that you got with Barricade.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Um and then we're into the robot replicas. So these are non-transforming Transformers. sort of about 6 inch roughly
Yeah,
scale. They're pretty cool.
I had the
They,
I bought the frenzy. I did buy the frenzy for
yeah.
that.
Um, I don't think I had any at the time, but obviously I've got Prime now. But what was nice was that they were more accurate representations of the characters
Yeah,
as they appeared in the film, which actually is pretty cool because one of the things uh, I couldn't get my head round when the toys were coming is having seen how complex the things were in the
yeah.
film and in the trailers and everything else. I couldn't quite figure out how they were going to turn this into a toy. And it turns out not
Yeah,
well.
I think that's
And
actually funny when you think about the two big ones this year were this and animated absolutely
oh,
nails the
just
toys, nail the aesthetics of the cartoon.
yeah,
And you're right, I for the longest time just wanted an Optimus Prime that looked like that 2007 Optimus Prime.
yeah.
And I've never really felt as if I've got one that really hits it.
No,
Maybe if
not
somebody that
one
likes
that.
Optimus Prime that can give me a suggestion.
um, I mean, no. There are some decent versions, some third party ones as well. The I think the best version of this movie Prime is probably the one for Revenge of the Fallen, the one for the
Mm.
next film. He's actually a stonking figure, but we'll talk about him next time. Um, but yeah, they were cool, and the majority of the actual figures, the vehicles were generally spot on, but the robot modes, they just couldn't make them look exactly how they did in the in and not be mass producible. That's the big
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
because also they had to be toys that kids could play with. So if you made them, it maybe in 2007 it wouldn't have been quite possible to make something as complex as we could do now, like the more like the movie masterpiece kind of
yeah,
lines and stuff like that. But they could have done more, but it wouldn't have been something that you could give to a child to play with at
yeah,
Christmas. It
yeah.
would be broken, sharded bits in your
It's true.
face and whatever else, or have to be like massively oversized. Um, and that's just the sort of the sacrifice that had to be made. Um, some of the gift sets I remember seeing quite a lot. The Evolution of a Hero was over here. The two different versions of Bumblebee with slightly different decos, and the first encounter movie battle scene with Sam and Michaela and Frenzy and Barricade. It was the only time in this line that had figurines of the characters from the film. I think they had more later on, and there's some other lines that come later on that have more of them. Let's move on. Ooh, these. Uh, these are the Transformers Unleashed statues. They did these for Star Wars, starting around Revenge of the
Yeah,
Sith
oh, I
time.
remember the Star Wars one. I don't remember these. I remember the Star Wars one. Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, and the only one of these I ever saw in the shop was Megatron, and I hated it, so I didn't buy it. If I'd seen Prime, I probably still wouldn't have bought it because it looks arse. Um, I think out of the three of them, Bumblebee looks the
Yeah,
best.
I think Bumblebee's actually all right, but no,
Yeah,
it doesn't appeal. They don't appeal to me.
I
Maybe
do
that
need to
appeals to
get
me
hold
then.
of that. Do need to get hold of that Prime, but they seem to go for not like a lot of money, but more money than I want to pay for it. Like I
No,
haven't been able to find one for less than 30 quid, and I don't want
that's
to
not
pay
worth
30
more than
quid for
30 quid. Yeah. Okay.
that. I've spent more on less, but not as though, but things I want. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
um, they're quite cool, but also, yeah. Right, now we are into mainline. So every Transformers year there is a main line, and the main line for this year is obviously the Transformers movie. Now we'll start with the Scout class, which is an interesting place to start because all of these figures are repaints. Not only are they repaints, but they're repaints and then repainted again in the same range in the same
So
year.
bizarre, actually, isn't
So obviously, Skyblast and Air Raid are repaints, and they're both repaints of the Omnibot from Energon. Alita One and RC are both RC from Energon. Hardtop hard top is it strong arm again? No, it's a different one.
No.
But anyway, they're all basically Energon and Cybertron figures. And mostly, uh, yeah, they're fine, but they weren't proper characters. They weren't
Yeah,
characters that appeared in the film anyway. And they sort of appeared. I don't think they're in the first wave. I think they appeared a little bit later
yeah.
as I said, they're all Target exclusives. So I definitely remember seeing them over here, but I couldn't tell
Yeah.
you
And there
what,
are,
what
as
shops.
we go into further down the movie lane, there are some Scout class toys that they bring out that are actually
Hmm.
cracking wee toys.
Oh
As
yeah.
this is, and listen, some of these toys are good wee toys. I've got a couple of them
Oh
from the
no, no,
original
definitely.
releases, but I remember at the time just being a bit like, it's
Yeah.
just too much. And as you kind of like you said, I went with the, it's not in the movie. I'm just gonna try and collect the movie ones
Hmm.
because otherwise you're buying so many. But somebody obviously bought these.
I think also a lot of it is that perhaps they were worried that there wouldn't be enough because
Yeah,
the movie line, the number of
yeah.
characters that were actually in the film, there's what, nine,
Yeah, so it's not huge. So
10?
you're right. Yeah, they probably are
So
just going to let us fill the line out a bit.
yeah, which we'll get more to in the deluxe class. Oh look, it's the deluxe class. Um, for the first time ever in the history of doing this video, the deluxe class figures are split across two slides because there are too many of them to fit and still be able to talk about them properly. Um, Now, there are a lot of repaints. As we were just talking about, there are characters in here that are not characters in the film. And there are repaints and there are repaints because,
Get
that's
your
what
money
they
out of
had to
mold. Get
do.
your
Yeah.
money out of a mold.
So you had two different versions of Bumblebee, the Junker version and the concept car version. Because back then, that version of the Camaro, which is now the normal version, was a concept car.
Oh
There hadn't
yeah,
been a
yeah.
new version of the Camaro for years, and this is a concept car. It was a concept car in the film, and then it became a proper production
It's
model
got so much more
the
charm
following
as the
year.
original version.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the muscle car generally, but the new version of Bumblebee, the Camaro from 2007 onwards, I really like it. I don't know why. I don't particularly like Bumblebee, so it's not that, but I just
Mm.
love that car.
The,
Um,
the Jazz and the G1 colours is nice.
It is. It is. The thing is, though, that this jazz, especially, I think it's because seeing it in the G1 colors, it looks a lot more like G1 jazz than it does in the film because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it was an odd choice of car. I know why. I know that they had contracts with various car
yeah,
companies,
yeah,
mostly GM, so they had to do what they had to do in order to get the film made. And at this point, Porsche and or Volkswagen were still very much against having their brands associated with war in any way,
yeah.
shape, or form. So that's why we didn't have a Beetle Bumblebee at this point. Brawl, who is accidentally named Devastator in the film, which is interesting. Uh, Now, the Barricade figure was amazing. It was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
really,
yeah.
really
Correct figure.
nice toy. It was absolutely the transformation was good. The robot mode looked
Yeah,
like how he did in the film. He had Frenzy folded up and went into the front of the or his chest and indeed the front of the car. He
yep,
was
yep.
a really, really cracking figure.
And that
Um,
that car in film is just brilliant. Just
so good.
what is it? Punish and enslave.
Punishing
Oh,
a Slave.
love it.
Barricade is my standout from
Yeah,
Transformers
great.
this movie. Well, maybe I should have picked that as my figure of the year. Oh, anyway, RC, who technically isn't a film character, but was up until a late stage of development of the film a character in the film, and a scene that she was used. A pivotal scene that she had in the film is still in it and still uses the bike that was going to be her, but isn't RC because they abandoned that character. But the bit where Lennox, whatever his name is, um, gets on a motorbike and then slides underneath
Yeah.
uh, uh, Blackout and shoots him. That was originally supposed to be RC, um, but the motorbike. Anyway, not a movie character, so I didn't buy it. Then Dreadwing, who obviously isn't a movie character, Dropkick, and Long Arm. Long Arm is based on the vehicle that they tow Bumblebee along with
Yeah.
after he's ripped in half. So he was technically in the film, but didn't transform.
Yeah.
And yeah, was Dropkick possibly from the game? I can't remember. And Final Battle Jazz because you need another Jazz for reasons. Uh, does he come in half? I hope so. And the other one. So we had the movie preview protoforms that we spoke about earlier. Payload is a made up one, a different coloured barricade. Scorponok, who was interesting because he transforms into the world's worst robot mode,
Yeah.
um, but isn't obviously a robot mode figure. Wreckage was really cool, and Swindle and Stockade, I believe, were from the games. And that's enough of that. Swindle was actually pretty cool. But anyway, you got anything to say about any of these? I'm talking very quickly
No,
because
I
I'm
only
trying to
really
get
had
through this.
only really had Scorponok. No, I tell you, sorry, I had the Optimus Prime photo form,
Mm.
and I had Scorponok. The Optimus Prime was, I remember being with it and that, so I never bought the Starscream. It just was cool to have it. It's one of the ones actually I probably knowing how much I didn't really like the figure. I wish I'd kept it in on box because I think it would have been cooler on box in a box form. But anyway, the
It's,
Scorponok and its Scorpion mode's lovely. It just
yeah,
it's not treat it like a non-transformer. Be probably
exactly. Yeah.
better.
Yeah. It's a really good version of the Scorpion mode, but he never transformed into robot mode in the film.
Yeah,
And don't ever transform that into robot mode because it's
fish.
awful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely pish. Wreckage is awesome. If you ever get hold of that figure, he's a really, really cool figure, which I refused to buy because he wasn't in the film. But look, he's a really, really good bot mode. He got repainted later on down the line, I think, as Bludgeon, maybe. But anyway,
Ooh. Oh, I
we'll
think
get
you're
to
right.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's weird as well because I quite happily bought the Starscream protoform, but he never actually appears as a protoform in the film.
No.
So, but I didn't know that because he was out as a preview figure. Hmm, interesting. Anyway, let's move on to Voyager class. We're getting there. We're getting there. Um, I loved the Ratchet figure. He's really, really chunky. But
Yeah.
this is where the line sort of falls down a little bit because you sort of had semi-consistent scale in Deluxe, with the exception of RC. Actually, no, that's a lie because Bone Crusher and Brawl
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
tiny. Okay, yeah, scale was all over the place in this line. Let's not pretend otherwise. But Blackout was really nice, but small.
Yeah.
His
Too small.
helicopter mode was
Yeah.
small, and the robot mode was also small. And Ratchet, because of the nature of the transformation and how he looks in the film, he's really, really chunky.
Yeah.
But nice. But for some reason, also got three versions in the first wave. Well, the first year. G1 style repaint and a slightly different colored version that was an exclusive for some reason. So that's fun. I really like the Ironhide toy. He was
Yeah. That was good fun.
he was a really nice figure. He was one of the first ones I got. Ironhide and Prime, the leader class Prime, I think were the first two I got. Then there's a Voyager version of Megatron that was also covered in ice because Megatron was covered in ice. Two different versions of Optimus Prime in Voyager class scale, which I didn't own either of because I'd already bought the leader class. And then a plethora of Starscream related things. I hated the Starscream toy.
Yeah.
Hated.
It was. It looks nice and awkward, but it was not a fun toy.
For me, it was it's very bottom heavy. I mean,
Yeah.
his entire robot mode is underneath.
Hmm.
And then those giant missile launcher arms,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they just look so daft. But
There's actually so many of the toys. and we talked when I asked you about the Optimus Prime, you made it. The toys in the first for the first movie were not great. They were
No.
okay. They weren't great, but they get better as we
Oh,
go
they
through
definitely get
the
better.
next movies.
The engineering
Um,
of them definitely increases. There is some
yeah,
fun
100%.
things with Starscream with the way he like folds into his Dorito mode. That's
The real one.
just it's an interesting way that he sort of compresses and becomes a
Yeah.
big triangle gorilla. Um, but yeah, the only one of those I had was the original one. I did contemplate on multiple occasions getting the repaints because then I could have all the Seekers, but I decided no, that's daft and I don't like them. Finally, I want to say, I'm hoping this is finally. This has been going on forever. We have the leader class and the ultimate class. I got a stock picture of the ultimate class because I wanted to point out this is the ultimate class. This was a figure that cost a lot of money. Um, it was the most uh, accurate, I suppose, in terms of the figures that came out, in terms of what they look like, in terms of robot mode and vehicle mode. And it still looked awful. The vehicle mode
Yeah.
in that toy is
Yep.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
But the robot mode,
Was it just big or was it the gimmicks? I can't remember. I remember there being a some people wanting it, but it was never appealed to me because it was Bumblebee. Never really appealed to me.
yeah, I think I got one in a job like years later. It's I think for me the biggest issue is it's got I know this is a daft thing to say, but Bumblebee in the movie has the front of the car as his boobs, and that's flipped over so it's a more sideswipe style
Yeah,
bonnet as boobs,
yeah,
and I don't like it, and it makes him look really, really
no,
chonky. So
yeah.
obviously there are
I think
reasons
the
for it.
complex designs in the movie were a step up to everything that Hasbro had to do before.
Yeah, yeah.
And if we're honest, all of them, including like your Optimus Prime, were not great representations of the
Oh
movie.
God, no, no.
It was the best, the leader class Optimus Prime, the best Optimus Prime of the year for the movie.
Mm,
Doesn't mean it's the best version of the bit
no.
challenging.
And then we can get to the other leader classes. Brawl, I did not see in the shops. I did not see
Nope.
anywhere. I did not see him for many, many years later. Um, Never saw him in the shop at all. I saw a second-hand one several years later.
Mm,
So I've never really experienced him. So I can't really say a
no,
lot about
neither.
him. Megatron, however, is a big pile of rubbish.
Yep, agree.
Honestly, one of the worst toys I've ever played with ever. The robot mode is okay. The whatever that jet mode that they decided to give him,
No,
it's
I
just
very
awful.
disappointing toy.
The
Very
Voyager
disappointing toy.
class is a lot better, but I think I just didn't want to buy it after I had that thing.
Yeah,
And he does that weird combiney thing, so he does a arm cannon. Oh, it's awful. And Prime, we'll talk about Prime in a second. Anyway, I think that's
yeah,
everything. I think we finally covered everything. And oh, yep, it's Moss bot of the year. Moff, what's your bot
yeah.
of the year?
Okay, so mine's is Masterpiece Starscream. This was the first toy that I remember. My mum had a friend who lived in New York, and I remember her saying to her, like, I know that I'm an adult. I know that I'm now 27 years old, but can you go to Toys R Us and find, was it Toys R Us?
It
Whoever it
might be
was, whatever,
Walmart.
Walmart, whatever it was, I was like, please, 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 can you get this for me? And then she went quiet. Like it's not like now when you're on Facebook or something. She said to my mum, "Yep, yeah, I can do that," and then nothing. And she came over at Thanksgiving time and handed me a box, and I was like, I'd forgot about it, but just it didn't feel like it was going to happen. And I remember opening it, and it just was like, this is gorgeous. I only recently took it off my shelf, and I just there's something about it I really like. And actually, comically, so I've got a shelf as you can imagine. You've got Masterpiece, the Seekers, you've got the three of them together. My wife very recently said something that made me laugh, going, "Do you've I've had Transformers in our the house season display for years." She's like, "Neither of them are just repaints of each other. Isn't that a bit cheeky?" And I just thought, that's so funny. It's so funny that you had that realization. But this, I love. I think I didn't have a need to upgrade the Starscream until I got Defamation Space. I didn't feel as if I wanted to because it was a bit special for me because of that aspect. The scabbards, I know that people kind of didn't like that. I'll be honest, I just popped them off,
Mm.
but that's fine. That you take it off, it's robot mode. And then if I wanted to transform it, I would transform it. And I have the three of these seekers, and I'm going to do the same. I've got the three eye gear going ahead, and I'm going to put them all in alt mode, and they're just going to be kind of fun alt mode ones that I'm going to plonk somewhere because actually it's not one even though it's not one I've got on display and I have no real desperate need for it to go on display, I wouldn't get rid of it because it takes me back to a time. We have such a plethora of epic toys
Mm.
versions of the characters we grew up with. This was the best version of Starscream that was available at that time, without a shadow of a doubt. And it just that sniveling Starscream always appealed to me. Chris Latta is my favourite voice actor of that era for the portrayal of stuff in Visionaries and Cobra Commander, and this
Yeah.
Starscream is just brilliant. So this just really, really made me happy getting this in and going, this is awesome. The opposite end of Megatron, which was a bit naff, but the masterpiece Optimus Prime still has that feeling as well of this was a very special bot. To experience it for the first time was like, this was really cool. And I remember feeling that with this. And at a time when the movie bots just didn't really hit the spot, this came in and I was like, oh, I'm into this. I could be a masterpiece collector. Knowing at this point there was only a handful, wasn't it like what masterpiece is now, but yeah, I have a lot of love for this figure.
Yeah, I never owned the more Walmart version. I had the Takara one, which I must have got around this time. I can't even remember. Um, but he was the weird bluey green grey color, and yeah, he was. I didn't have as much love for him as I would have had if I'd had him in these colors.
Yeah,
He's still a cool figure. I really like the transformation. I really like both modes. Yes, there is some epic kibble going on, which they did improve on later releases. But he came with a flight stand. He came with all the bits. He came with Dr. Arkeville.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, Doctor Arkeville. Yeah, I forgot about that.
but
Yeah.
then also in the F-15 mode, the nose cone opened with the radar array in there. All the flaps and stuff did flappy things. It's just a really, really solid, cool
Masterpiece were
toy.
great for that, for all the wee gimmicks. I always think of the Optimus Prime with the kind of communicator opening up. It just wee clever bits to put in nods to episodes of the Transformers cartoon, like just a different time, like a
I,
different time altogether.
I definitely feel that Masterpiece lost something when they went for G1 cartoon accuracy.
I agree. I agree actually
Even
as
though
well.
then that was what I collected for a time. But yeah, I think they they started they started pandering to the fans, and I
Yeah,
think that was a bad
I,
thing.
I think that's a very good point because if you were to ask me to name my just on officials, my favourite masterpieces, they're all going to be early stuff. It's
Mm.
going to be like your Grimlock, your Soundwave. I still
Yeah.
think Master MP01 or MP1 stands up for me because it was so special. Like
Mm.
the engineering in it,
I love
you're right.
MP1.
I think going just heavy too inaccurate, it loses some of the charm. Like
Mm.
this was special. So yeah, this was my bot of the year. So.
My bot of the year isn't the special. Surprisingly, it's Optimus
Your
Prime.
bot of the year's like just because it's Optimus.
Um, so I picked it. Stop it. Stop it. I picked it for a couple of reasons.
And go for it, go.
Um, One, because it's Optimus, obviously, but two, because of the different figures in the range. He did all of the stuff that they were trying to go for with this range probably about as good as any other one. So his alt mode is accurate to
Yeah.
the truck.
His alt mode's good.
His robot mode, it's not perfect, but it does have all of the features of the version. There's no, they haven't cut any corners. There's a ton of kibble, so they definitely haven't cut any corners. Um, but he's also got a ton of gimmicks in there which don't massively detract from his overall look. So he's got the automorphing feature that was a thing that they had in these. So one of the things I absolutely love about this figure is the way his feet go. So like
Yeah.
you pull something out and then the whole toes and stuff all pop out and it's just a really nice little feature. And he's got that bit that slides up in his chest to pop his head out and he makes
Yeah.
noises and he lights up his boobs. Um his ridiculous weapon, which is kind of similar to the one he has in the film.
Yeah.
Flips round and you can stow it away and you can take it off. And he's not the most accurate looking.
He's the
Um,
best movie toy.
but yeah,
If you were picking
I
movie
think
toy of the
yeah.
year, he's the best movie toy.
I think I would definitely. Well, I have argued that, with a close second being Ironhide, and Ironhide and
Oh, I'd say
Barricade. I'd put
Barricade.
yeah, Ironhide and Barricade. I'd put sort of equal footing. But as I say, he considering what is going on with that figure,
Yeah.
with the automorphing, the lights and sound, the bit it's
Heavy,
motorized as well.
heavy.
That bit you put it down and then it motorizes itself or ratchets itself up.
Yeah.
Flip out weapons, missile launchers, and all of that. Considering how much is in there for the toy to look that good, I'm not saying it looks good, but that good. It's actually pretty incredible. But luckily,
Cool.
they did better for the next one. Anyway,
Yes.
and that is it. I don't think we've spoken for 2.5 hours, maybe only 1 3/4. So anyway, thank you if you have managed to reach to the end of this. I think this might be as bad as it ever gets in terms of sheer amount of stuff out at one time. But I'll revisit that statement when we get to
I
Revenge
think
of the
Revenge of the
Fallen.
Fallen's. Yeah, I think Revenge of the Fallen's going to surprise you for the.
Yeah.
And actually, some of its sublines are really good.
Yes, yes. So more to talk about, more to look at, more to describe to those who are listening. Hi, Greg. Um,
Hi.
so yeah, thank you for watching or listening. We will be back next week with the year 2008, which is kicking off properly in animated. There's a lull between films, so we just have millions more figures from this film rather than a new film, and a little bit more of classics and a few other bits and bobs. So join us next week for that, which will be the second episode on Monday, and the first episode, an overview of the year to just mix things up a bit. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening. I've been Optimus Prime.
I've been playing Time Moff.
Bye.
Bye.